To be honest with you, I think you and I both owe David Hamilton an apology. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and going into 2024, there really wasn't a whole lot of hope as to who David Hamilton could be. For the most part, most people assume that he is basically quadruple A depth, a break glass in case of emergency type player. However, so far this season, we couldn't have been more wrong. So what we are going to do in today's video is we're going to break David Hamilton down, talk about what he's doing this year, why it's been so impressive, and what its impact could be on the 2024 Red Sox. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Coming off of last year, David Hamilton certainly didn't make a great first impression at the big league level. He only got a handful of games in Major League Baseball last year. It was 14 to be exact, but those 14 games were a real struggle at the plate for him. He finished 2023 with a 121 average, a 256 on base percentage, and a 182 slug, which was good for a 23 OPS plus. About 77% less productive at the plate than the average hitter in the sport. His defense certainly wasn't making up for that lack of production. I think a lot of people, myself included, sort of completely wrote David Hamilton off coming into 2024. As again, we talked about in the intro, someone who sort of becomes that quadruple A player, right? Someone who can't consistently get it together at the big league level, is sort of that break glass in case of emergency type player. Someone who sticks around on the 40-man roster, but never really makes a true impact with the big league club. And for a month, most of us were correct, because after Story's injury, David Hamilton was once again given an opportunity in Major League Baseball, and through the month of April, it was more of the same. He hit just a 211 with a 286 on base percentage and a 316 slug, which was a bit better than our first sighting of David Hamilton, but still nothing super productive. It was a 73 OPS plus, which put him about 27% less productive than the average hitter in the league. It felt like this was just who David Hamilton was, a guy who you just weren't going to get consistency from at the big league level. A guy who, hey, we're down 3 people. We need a body out there because if we don't, we're going to have to forfeit this game. Let's get David Hamilton up here. However, going into May, things completely changed for David Hamilton. He was pretty honest with the media coming out of April, where he spoke about how at the big league level, the game just seemed to speed up on him. And this happens to a lot of rookies, especially in the first couple of appearances in Major League Baseball, right? There is a massive difference between AAA and Major League Baseball. And for David Hamilton, he just simply did not feel as though he was able to catch up to the speed of the game. And the Red Sox agreed. Between April 27th and May 4th, they did not play David Hamilton one singular time in any single game. What they were doing was trying to slow the game down for him, figure out a way to have him catch up to the pace of play. And whatever they did absolutely worked, because David Hamilton came back on May 4th a completely different player. In fact, throughout the month of May, he had his best month at the big league level yet, where he hit 333 with a 393 on base percentage and a 490 slug, well over 100 points better in every single slash line category than he was hitting in April. And this production led to a 154 OPS plus that is not only 54% better than the average hitter in baseball in May, it was also 81% more productive in the box than he was in April. He struck out less times in 19 games in May with 11 than he did in 14 games in April at 13. He was making more contact and hitting for a bit more power with 3 doubles and a triple last month, not to mention a home run as well. And it looks like he's only getting better right now, because this hot streak is carried into June, where so far in 10 games, he has the same 333 average, a little bit lower 351 on base percentage, but a ridiculously higher 611 slug, good for a 165 OPS plus. Again, 65% better than the average hitter in baseball this month. He already has 4 doubles in 10 games and 2 home runs, exceeding both April and May in just over a week of action. Again, to say David Hamilton has turned his season and really his career around at this point may be a bit of an understatement. He went from a 602 OPS in his first 14 games to an 820 OPS coming into today. That is well over 200 points better on his OPS over the last couple of months. He now has the 6th best OPS plus on the current roster at 128, just behind Wilyer Abreu and ahead of Jarren Duran. His overall stat line on the season right now is a 296 average, which puts him in the top 3 on the Boston Red Sox in average, with a 348 on base percentage and a 472 slug, which again is good for that 128 OPS plus. It has been incredibly impressive to watch so far this year, and again, I think a lot of us, outside of one member of this channel, Mr. Money Mike Madness, owe David Hamilton an apology. He has become one of the key players in this Red Sox lineup, especially with all the injuries this team has suffered. For this team to have been successful up until this point of the season, what you needed to have with all these injuries that the Red Sox have suffered is guys who normally shouldn't step into a big role, and that is exactly what we are seeing from David Hamilton. He is taking full advantage of this current opportunity that has been laid out in front of him, and we haven't even touched on David Hamilton's speed yet. David Hamilton, as most of you know, is one of the fastest players in the entire sport. He set a record for the Boston Red Sox in his minor league career. He stole the most bases in minor league baseball in his career, and he's brought that speed to Major League Baseball as well. He's currently second on the team in stolen bases, just behind Jarren Duran at 13. He only has 2 less stolen bases than Duran, and he also has the best attempt to caught ratio when it comes to stolen bases, having stolen 13 bases and only been caught once. What this means for David Hamilton is that he started to be able to become a guy who can affect the baseball offensively in every single facet, right? He's hitting for a bit of power, he's hitting for a lot of contact, and once he gets on base, he's a menace on the base pass as well, which again is absolutely massive for this Red Sox team, and we saw what that looks like last night. Jarren ran a little blooper up the middle, his speed causes an error, David Hamilton comes around to score. This is the type of thing that you really bank on when you are a team that has dealt with this many injuries, and for David Hamilton to become the guy that he has become over the last couple of months is extremely impressive. However, there is still one problem we have with David Hamilton here, but before we get into that, if you're still watching this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Not only does it just help these videos out a ton, it's also the best way you can let me know you're enjoying the content we are putting out. Thank you all very much for doing so. Let's talk about what's still the problem with David Hamilton. The problem with David Hamilton is that despite his emergence at the plate, he's still an absolute liability defensively. So far this year at shortstop, he has -4 defensive runs saved, and he has 6 total errors, which gives him the second most errors on the Boston Red Sox, just behind Ceddanne Rafaela, who has 8, which, sidebar, nothing to do with David Hamilton at all. I can't believe Ceddanne Rafaela has 8 errors. That's absolutely shocking to me. It feels like he's been one of the best defensive players for the Red Sox. Maybe that has a lot to do with him going in between shortstop and center field. I know he had a couple errors at the beginning of the year. Anyways, that's besides the point. Just pretty shocking he leads the team in errors. Either way, for everything David Hamilton is doing offensively, it's hard to ignore the problems he's having defensively, because regardless of what you're doing at the plate, if you are allowing unearned runs to score, especially with where the Boston Red Sox are at right now, you're still going to end up losing more games for this team than you end up winning. Now, there is good and bad news for this problem with the Boston Red Sox. The good news here is that they can mitigate this issue by pushing him over to second base, where David Hamilton's actually pretty solid. In 7 games this year, he has 2 defensive runs saved, and he feels like he could be a pretty decent second baseman. If the Red Sox are able to move him over there, they may completely get rid of the one problem right now that is plaguing David Hamilton. The bad news here is that it's not going to be able to be done for a little bit here, mostly because of team injuries. Ceddanne Rafaela has taken over shortstop duties for a pretty decent period of time here for the Red Sox, and that worked for a little bit. But recently, especially with Tyler O'Neill still making his way back to 100%, Rob Refsnyder being used every single day and needing to get some rest as he's still playing through a broken toe, and Wilyer Abreu being on the IL, Ceddanne Rafaela is needed more in the outfield right now defensively than needed at shortstop, which means he can't really put David Hamilton at second base just yet. The only other real option for this Red Sox team would be Romy Gonzalez, but he's still currently making his way back from an injury as well, starting his rehab today in Worcester. So the Red Sox don't really have any other option right now but to stick him at shortstop and just sort of deal with the defensive issues until they could get fully healthy. But when they do get fully healthy, or if they could get fully healthy, putting David Hamilton over at second base could completely change this Red Sox team for a little bit of a long-term solution here. If David Hamilton can continue to hit the way he's hitting, and that's sort of the big question with all of this, is this just a hot streak, or did David Hamilton finally catch up to the pace that is Major League Baseball? If he can stay on this, the Red Sox may have found their solution at second base and muddying the waters with guys like Vaughn Grissom, Nick York, Chase Meidroth, and others coming up through the minor league system. Regardless of his defensive issues, though, I think we absolutely need to give credit where credit is due, and David Hamilton has totally deserved that credit. Again, he has not only become one of the more productive players on this Red Sox team, he's completely transformed his profile at the big league level, and that's not an easy thing to do. I can't even imagine the work that was put in behind the scenes to get David Hamilton to this point. If the Red Sox can find a way to play him every day at second base, what you are looking at, again, if he's able to maintain this pace, is an offensive threat, a base running machine, and a solid defensive player, which could end up being a long-term solution at second base. And I just want to say this, David Hamilton, I apologize. I simply was not familiar with your game, but that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about this? What do you think about David Hamilton and what he's been able to do over the past couple of months? Do you think this is something that is sustainable? Do you think we are about to see some major regression? And what do you think this means for the Boston Red Sox going forward? Let me know all your thoughts on the emergence of David Hamilton, the rookie, shocking everybody, in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said, if you're new here, we talk Sox content almost every single day. Don't forget, if you like this video, make sure to let me know by hitting that like button. It's the best way to let me know you're enjoying this content. Plus, it just helps these videos out a ton. Don't forget, you can always get these episodes in podcast form as well. If you want to listen on the go, you can either click the link in my description to head over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or you can just head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this video, and I will see you in the Red Seats.